Hello, everyone. Welcome to the Glitter and Trauma Eurovision podcast. Normally, I would have an intro pop out first, but as it's the first episode of the season and really the first episode ever, I wanted to do a little spoken introduction before the actual intro. So, yeah, my name is Pablo. I'm an 18-year-old student from the north of Spain, and this podcast is going to be like my little corner to talk about Eurovision with you all and hopefully create a little community around here. So, yeah, and also, the quality of the audio might be a little trashy because it's my first time using a microphone and I did some sound checks yesterday and I don't know if it's because I'm doing things bad or if it's because my headphones are awful quality headphones, but it sounded really off. So it might sound bad here too. But anyway, let's go with the intro. This is Glitter and Trauma, a tiny corner where we never stop talking about Eurovision.
Porque ahí sí que vamos a soltar la bomba.
What happened? You didn't get shot. So big deal.
Excuse my French.
So, as I said before, I'm Pablo. I'm an 18-year-old student from the north of Spain, and I basically love Eurovision and talking about it. So, let's start from the beginning. I'm going to talk about how did I become a Eurovision fan. So, my first memory of the contest goes back to 2010. I had like, no, I wasn't even three yet. I was like, I was not even 3 years old yet. But I remember vividly watching Eurovision on the TV with my parents and seeing a guy with a guitar, and down it said number five. And later, like years later, I looked it up and I figured out it was 2010 and it was the Belgian representative of that year, Tom Dice. And yeah, that's basically my first memory as a Eurovision fan. Well, not as a Eurovision fan, but watching Eurovision. And then I also remember Loreen winning because that year and that summer, Euphoria was everywhere. But then the first year that I really watched it and liked it was 2015. That year I started looking things up on YouTube, like ranking videos and voting simulations. But next year, like 2016, I don't remember caring too much for it. And I do remember that my parents fell asleep, so I was able to watch it like in full. And I couldn't understand why Jamala won. I thought that she was just a woman that looked really scared on stage, which now looking back, it makes sense. It goes with the story, but 10-year-old me, not even 10, I was like 8, 9, didn't understand the story behind 1944, and now I appreciate it. But back then, I really didn't. But I would say that the year that I really became a Eurovision fan was 2017. Became obsessed. My first favorite like performance ever was Demi from Greece, which I also think came before or after the Spanish entry that year, which is a contrast definitely. And after that, 2018 and 2019, I followed it really closely. And then after 2019, that's when I got into national finals. I was Melody Festival at first, and then all the other ones came right after. And yeah, right after 2020, the first year that I followed the national finals, it got cancelled, lucky me. And then from 2021 onwards, I follow like everything. And yeah, that's basically my story as a Eurovision fan. And now I also wanted to talk about the reasons why I've decided to start this podcast. So, first and foremost, I love Eurovision, as I've already said, and I will repeat later. And I love talking about it. And I don't want to be torturing my friends every single week about Eurovision, neither do they. So that's one of the reasons we have created this. I want my own place to talk about Eurovision however much I want. And also, I have another podcast in Spanish called Dando la Tabarra, where I talk more about, my life, TV, gossip, celebrities, and all that stuff. I don't expect that one to get like many listeners. It's mostly like a diary for me, But with this one, I kinda do hope. I mean, it's really niche. I know I won't get like 1,000 listeners, but 50 listeners maybe, to create a little community around here, maybe meet new people, have people to talk about Eurovision. And also, if you haven't noticed yet, my English is like, it's not a disaster, but it's not good either. Mostly the pronunciation, and also I struggle with finding the words to express the different ideas that I want to come across. And yeah, I really want to improve that because I want to get an English title this year. And my speaking abilities, I'm not really confident about them. So this podcast will hopefully help me improve that. And yeah, also, like, I'm 18, I'm fresh out of high school. Maybe I've been a bit too quick in starting a podcast, but I don't know if you feel the same way that I do. But in the last couple of years, like 2024, 2025, everything Eurovision related has kind of a really apocalyptic vibe for me. Like, I feel that with the presence of a certain country that we're going to talk about later, like right now, everything feels like it could explode any day. And yeah, that gives me a bit of anxiety. And that's why I've rushed so much to create this podcast. I hope that country won't win this year, and I will be able to do another season of this podcast and follow another Eurovision season, like normally, kind of normally. Uh, but yeah, let's cross our fingers. Okay, so now I want to talk about the presence of Israel in the Eurovision Song Contest. Well, hopefully, this will be the last time you hear me saying anything about Israel until, well, I was going to say until May, but no. Hopefully, they kick them out in December and we talk about them in December and we don't have to talk about them ever again in anything related to Eurovision. But yeah, if they don't get kicked out, maybe I will make a comment in March or so when the song is released. But yeah, and then in May, after everything has passed, maybe I will make some comments about that. But as you can see by what I've said in this past 30 seconds, I strongly oppose the participation of Israel in the Eurovision Song Contest. For many reasons. First of all, they are committing a genocide in Gaza, like with the excuse of dismantling a terrorist group. They are killing thousands and thousands and thousands of civilians and kicking a lot of people out of their homes too, and destroying the entire Gaza Strip. And for me, like, that's enough of a reason to kick them out. Like, we kicked Russia out. Well, we didn't. The EBU, kicked Russia out. Like, what, 3 days after the beginning of the invasion of Ukraine? Why are you waiting so much to do the same with Israel? Like, now they have announced that they have a plan to invade Gaza. Like, yeah, and also Israel has been using it, like the contest, famously as a propaganda tool to improve their image towards Europe and the entire world, really, and portraying the image that Europe loves them when most of us don't, sending songs with political content, and also trying to buy votes by having their Ministry of Foreign Affairs spend millions and millions of euros on advertising in every single social media, billboard, and even a fucking billboard in Times Square. And who could spend that much money? Because another thing that I think should be like really looked into, because it's dangerous. At this point, I think that no other country besides Israel would be able to spend that much money on advertising, because most countries do not have that money. And I mean, bigger countries, like, for example, I think that if Televisión Española did that here in Spain, everyone would go crazy. It would end up being debated even in Congress here in Spain, and people would be fired. It would be a huge controversy to spend that much money in advertising for a song contest. But again, for Israel, this is not a song contest. This is a propaganda tool, basically. Also, the suspicious televote. Like, I mean, why in the hell did a song that is like the 19th or the 20th most streamed song this year win the televote. Like how? I mean, anyways, I hope that for next year, number one, they will kick them out. And now I've seen the rumor these past few days on Twitter that Eurovision Asia is apparently taking part next year. Why don't they take Israel with them? Why? Like, do it. Come on. Hopefully, no, hopefully they kick them out entirely and they don't participate in Eurovision Asia either. But I would be okay with them leaving and going to Eurovision Asia too. But if they don't, I just hope they send a shitty song that gets like 5 points from the juries, which apparently are against them, as he's like, what was it, head of delegation or something said, like, that tantrum the day after the final, like, the elites are against us. Bleh, shut up. Um. Anyways, and hopefully we will have a really big televote song which will win the televote instead of Israel. Hopefully. That's all I have to say about Israel right now. No, from now on, I won't be directly mentioning them. I will refer to them as that country. If I say that country, you know who I'm talking about. Also, this podcast is called Glitter and Trauma to like portray the two sides of being a Eurovision fan. You get this, really fun, glittery, crazy fantasy moments, but we also get some stressful moments filled with anxiety. So I've brought here an example of two instances that were a glitter moment and a trauma moment for me. My glitter moment was in 2020, the first year that I was following national finals when the Mamas won Melodifestivalen. So, in 2019, Eurovision 2019, Sweden was saved by the Mamas because John Lundvik's song was real basic, real boring, and yeah, he made it come alive in the stage too. But without the Mamas, that song wouldn't have placed second in the jury. No way. That song wouldn't be in the top 10. I genuinely think that Too Late for Love wouldn't be in the top 10 if it weren't for the Mamas. And I really loved them back then. And then when I found out that they were coming back to Melody Festivalen on their own, I went crazy. And then, song got released. Their hit came around, and people didn't even think that they were going to qualify directly to the final. They thought like, well, it's Robin Bengtsson, and Felix Sandman going to the final, and then the Mamas maybe will go to Andrew Hansen. But in a turn of events, the Mamas placed over. Like they won the did they win their semifinal? I do not remember, but they at least they placed above Felix Sandman and they advanced directly to the final. By the way, at this point, I was obsessed with their song, obsessed. But then when the final came around, everyone thought that it was a battle between Anna Bergendal and Dotter. So really, no one saw their victory coming. And I remember that I was outside and then I came back and they were already voting. So I didn't watch the performances. And then the jury voting ends and the mamas and daughter were tied. Like they had like 70 points each or something. And then I was like, no way. Like there's no way they're winning. Daughter's taking this because I thought that the mamas had a song that was really going to take up most of the jury's points, but I thought that it was going to flop in the televote. So when the moment came, they gave them their points. And I do not know who received their points first. I thought that maybe it was the mamas. And then they gave daughter her points. And she received like 1 point. She ended up 1 point behind the mamas. I went crazy. And one of the reasons that I'm most salty that Eurovision 2020 didn't happen is because I would have loved to see the Mamas on the Eurovision stage. They deserved it, and yeah, the song they had in 2021 wasn't as good. They didn't deserve to win that year. In fact, I was rooting for the Mamas in 2020, and then in 2021, I was rooting for Daughter. But yeah, that night in 2020, in March 2020, was amazing. I loved it, and I was almost crying when they won. And for my trauma moment, I've chosen a day that most Eurovision fans remember in a really bad light. I'm talking about the 10th of May of 2024. Yep, that day. It was the Friday before the Eurovision final, and keep in mind, after the second semi-final, Italy's televoting results got leaked. And then we knew that Israel had like 30% of the votes in Italy, and we all freaked out. And then the morning after, all this harassment from the Israeli delegation got to kind of like a climax, and Jost Klein ended up being disqualified instead of Israel, and then we started losing our minds. Really, like being on Twitter that day was a fucking experience. I remember watching that, being scared as hell that Eurovision, thinking that Eurovision was going to explode right in our faces. We all went crazy. Then the following morning, there was this um, Nemo, Marina, and Bambi missing the rehearsal situation. And that day, we also had I think it was that day, the Angelina Mango singing Imagine in the delegation bubble moment, which was a choice. And yeah, that was awful. And thankfully, Israel didn't win because it would have been like the distraction of Eurovision, because this year it was stressful, but we were in we were more chill about it. But that year was really tense, and I genuinely think that if had Israel won that night, Eurovision wouldn't exist today. I firmly believe that. So, but that day was awful. It was stressful, and it was like an experience. So, and to finish this podcast, well, finish. I might have like half of the podcast left. I don't know, but I feel like taking a trip to 2015 YouTube, and to get to know me a little bit more, as this is an introductory episode, I'm going to do a Eurovision tag. So I have 20 prompts here, and I'm going to answer them one by one. So the first one is my 2025 winners. I could look at this from various perspectives. So in the day of the final, I was really rooting for Austria because I felt like it was our only other option to Israel. And I was only hoping that JJ would get enough points from the jury so that he could win over Israel, even though Israel was obviously going to win the televoting. And also, like taking into account the live performances, maybe the best one for me, like in my opinion, was France was Maman by Luan, because besides that one shot, and you know what I mean by that, the rest of the performance was truly amazing. And Luan is a queen, she's a goddess, she's a star, she's the moment. But then, if I look at the songs from a purely subjective way, my favorite would have to be the United Kingdom. It's the song that I've streamed the most out of this year's contest. And the title also sums up perfectly my Eurovision 2025 and my Eurovision 2024 experience, because it all sounds up in what the hell just happened. But anyways, it's really my style. Like, I'm a basic pop bitch. I love basic pop music. And these are three theater kids screaming, like, no, not screaming, belting their hearts out for 3 minutes, with also like a chapel room sound at some times. And then the performance was really kitsch. Like, it was messy at moments. I get the Cinderella concept, but here's one thing. Why in the hell, where when they did, like, oh my gosh, I don't know how to say this in English, plano cenital in Spanish, but this camera shot from the top, and it was them three standing in the chandelier, and the visuals on the floor was like artistic swimmers. Why in the hell did they have swimming caps on? In artistic swimming, nobody wears swimming caps. Why would you do that in the performance when also it makes it look ugly as fuck? that was weird, and the performance was messy. Their dance was not coordinated. Like at moments, I know it wasn't meant to be coordinated, but in the moments where it was meant to be like that, it wasn't either. But I love them. They are my mess. I do not understand the zero from the televote. I don't understand Switzerland zero either. But anyway, the UK robbed one more year for me since Sam Ryder. Their entries have been amazing. The televote never gives them enough props for that. So next question is a song from the year you were born. So I've just turned 18. I was born in 2007, and looking up 2007, it was not a good year. Like I looked at the songs and I was like, okay. The winner is okay, but it's not like one of my favorite winners, and I don't have like any favorites there. There are many songs that were like full. So I've chosen two of the most iconic entries from that year, and one of them is Bulgaria. Elitsa and what was he called? Stefan Stovan, I don't remember. Some water. That's crazy. That's weird, but it's weird in a charming way. I love it. And also the other one, it has to be Verka Sertuchka. She's amazing. She's a star. She's the moment. I just don't have anything else to say about it. You just have to watch that performance and experience that for yourself. So, following that, we have my favorite entry from my own country, which is Spain. So, lately, Spain hasn't delivered like really good. Well, we have some good ones, but not many really outstanding Eurovision performances. So, I'm just gonna choose the obvious one, Chanel. Booty, the booty hypnotic Chanel from Spain. Yeah, she's like the best singer, like the best performance. That's the best performance we've ever sent to Eurovision. We should have won. I'm gonna say it. Like we should have won. Eurovision 2023 should have been celebrated in Madrid, Barcelona, or Torremolinos. I do not care. But yeah, we should have won. And then Chanel had the potential to become like a global superstar, but she was so mismanaged by her team. They tried to make her like an impossible queen like Beyonce when she didn't have the fame of Beyonce yet. And they have destroyed all the potential that she had for an international career or even a successful career here in Spain, which makes me really sad. But yeah, I think it's the best. If we didn't have her, maybe it would be Blanca Paloma or Pastora Soler or Ruth Lorenzo. I also, I really love Mickey. He was amazing in 2019. He was robbed. We deserved better. We deserved like at least top 15. Like the staging was messy, okay, but it was really fun. It was a party, and I can think of 10 songs in that grand final that were worse than ours. And then we have two of them that go together. We have a sad song and a song that makes me happy. For the sad song, I've chosen Growing Up is Getting Old by Victoria from Eurovision 2021, Bulgaria. That song, I really have a hard time getting emotional with music, but that song, I do not know what it has. It does it for me. Like watching it live. Back then, maybe not so much, but I did a rewatch last year of 2021, and the moment that she picked up the photo, she had me bawling my eyes out. And she's a queen. Then I've listened to the rest of her discography, like the rest of the songs she has released. Go ahead and listen to them. It's great pop music. She doesn't have like that Billie Eilish sound anymore. She's more poppy nowadays. But yeah, she's amazing. She's a star. I'm going to insert the Linda Evangelista, you're a star, you're a model, you're amazing. Or the she's a star, she's the moment, like the Wendy Williams one. I'm going to insert it every time I say that because I've already said it like 3 times in this podcast episode. So yeah, I'm thinking I could include like memes in the middle. That is more funny when you do it on YouTube because you can, watch the video too. But maybe I could do that. I don't know. And then also the song that makes me happy. I could think of many of them that make me happy. Leslie Roy, like the 2020 song, makes me really happy. And maybe some of the same hit songs like 2020, 2021. But I've chosen ultimately my favorite song from 2019, which is Molza Chameleon by Michela. That was so much fun. And she also had Destiny on the background vocals, which, if you haven't noticed yet from the intro, I love Destiny. She's amazing. She's a queen. I haven't included it in any of these questions, but yeah, I think she's the biggest superstar that's ever stepped foot on the Eurovision stage. She's gonna come back. She's going to win it one day. I know that. And yeah, her Eurovision song is the best Eurovision song ever by a mile. And also her two Eurovision songs are amazing. In 2021, she was dropped. Like, she should have been at least top three or top five. Why in the hell did the televoting only give them or give her 47 points? The televote hates Malta, hates them. And I think I've been like too close to the mic for the entire podcast. I'm sorry. But yeah, I love Destiny and I love Michaela too, and I love the song. It's so fun, it's catchy, the performance is colorful. It just makes me happy. And the next one is my favorite year. So here's the thing. Some time ago, I thought I was more objective about this, but I figured out like the years that I have in my mind as my favorite years really have like an emotional part to it, because it's 2018, which was the first year that I started following Eurovision, like before the actual show, and 2021, which was the year after the pandemic, which I was eager to have another Eurovision. So, and I realized that because I was watching a video by Fred, a Eurovision YouTuber. I was watching his video and about 2021, like a revisit. And as he was saying the different songs that had competed in that year, I was like, maybe this is not as good as I thought it was. So, and here's the thing: 2024, if it wasn't for all the Israel drama, would have been the best year ever by far. 2024 didn't have like one single bad song, maybe Azerbaijan or Albania. Albania was also quite bad, especially after the revamp. But we didn't really have any bad songs besides those. And if Israel hadn't decided to commit a genocide, that song, I must admit, was also kind of good. Well, I'm already referring to them for the name. No, it's not. It's that country. I'm not going to mention them anymore. I promise. But yeah, 2024 would have been a great year. No, it would have been the best one by far, in my opinion. So then the two options that I had was 2018 and 2021. After watching that video, I looked up 2018 and it has better songs. It also has more countries. But then again, it has a couple of nicks, like I do not like Georgia at all. I do not like Iceland. I do not like maybe I don't like Slovenia that much. But besides that, like I can think of many bad songs, and also I had like a lot of favorites like Fuego, Stones, Cross My Heart, Monsters, Funny Girl, Taboo, We Got Love. There were some great songs. A Matter of Time, even Higher Ground, You Let Me Walk Alone. There was a handful of really great songs. So I think I'm going to stick with 2018. So the next prompt is my favorite host, and I never pay much attention to the host. Well, not many people do. Generally, as the entire fandom doesn't pay much attention unless it's Pietra Miede, which I'm going to say it, she is the best Eurovision host ever, but it's so obvious that I wanted to choose a different one because everyone loves Petra. Everyone wants her to come back every single year. She's like a fucking superstar. But I've also chosen someone that I think is really funny. She has a lot of personality, and she was definitely the standout between the hosts of her year. And I'm talking about Filomena Cautela from 2018. Those four women hosting in Portugal, the other three were so dry, but then Filomena saved everything. And they left her in the green room, which it might have been for the best because her interactions with the contestants were amazing, but I wanted to see more of her. So I hope Portugal wins soon because they can do it. And Filomena hosts by herself or maybe with someone else. But yeah, we need Filomena to be a main character if Portugal wins. So I've just listened back to some of what I just recorded, and it sounds really awful because I had like the microphone. Oh, I'm doing it again. I had the microphone like 2 centimeters away from my mouth. So I'm going to try to keep the mic more far away from my mouth from now on. I'm sorry. So the next one is my favorite country, which has to be Sweden, of course. I love Sweden, as I've already said. I'm a basic pop bitch. So Sweden is my country. They produce the best pop music in the entire planet. Don't fight me on that. But yeah, it's just a fact. The juries love them for a reason. You'll say it's overrated. Sweden is not overrated. They just come through with great songs, and you're just jealous of them because they do amazing every single year. They have one of the best national finals along with Sanremo maybe and UMK, and they serve each year, and they also do not have the biggest budget, and they copy and paste their entire performance from Melody Festival into Eurovision, and it works every single time. And also this year they've taken like more of a risk by sending Kai. They've left the serious, basic, really plastic pop sound, and they've gone more the funny route. And I think it's amazing because everyone says that Sweden is always doing the same thing. It's always doing this polished pop. Like in these past few years, we've had Kai, we've had Cornelia, and we've had like the Mamas also went a bit like it's not that sound like a cute guy making pop music. No, it's not that really. And so I do not understand why people say it's overrated. No, it's not. And also, I wanted to highlight San Marino because being like the smallest country in Eurovision, they have the population of like a tiny little town. They still managed to pull it off. They still managed to qualify, and they have the craziest national selection ever. I just have so much fun watching it. And then also Portugal, I think these last couple of years is becoming like kind of a powerhouse because before Salvador won in 2017, they were like one of the ugly ducklings of Eurovision. But then afterwards, except for maybe Conan Osiris in 2019, where they didn't qualify, but most of the people thought they should have. Then they had like the Black Mamba, which was a surprise, but it was deserved. Then they had Maro, which is now kind of like a really big name, and her song became a hit, and they got a top 10 finish. And then they had Mimicat, which was like the most pop thing they've done, maybe, while being really far away from pop music. And they fumbled the bag a bit with that one, especially with the staging. But again, they had like that problem with where they had to scrap the entire staging and go with a plan B. And then we had Yolanda, which was amazing. She's a queen. I love her. That's like my favorite sense from Portugal probably ever. Oh well, no, we have Susie. Hmm, it's a close fight between those two for me. And then this year we had Napa, which no one saw coming again, but it's become like one of the biggest hits from this year besides Espresso Macchiato. I don't know which other song became a hit as much as Deslocato, but yeah, they've really been serving this past couple of years. So next up, we need to go quicker because I'm spending so much time in this, and I'm pretty sure I'm boring the shit out of you. Also, I'm getting really tired of recording, so I'm leaving like a lot of awkward silences that I'm going to need to edit later. So next one, a robbed runner-up, and now I'm going to get no, it's not under fire because it's like a pretty common opinion in the Eurovision fandom, but I mean, not about the politics, even talking just about the performances and the songs. Eleni Foureira should have won 2018, and that's it. Because even leaving politics aside, so it has aged so poorly, so poorly. Like back then, it was even a little kitsch for that time, and not everyone liked it. And I also understand, like Salvador Sobral, when he went out, like he had some bad comments about Neta. Like now, with the current situation going on, I understand them from a different perspective, maybe. But Yeah, I mean, when you look at it, like Eleni would have still had that party vibe, but it was much more polished. And honestly, a better song. I still listen to Fuego, and I haven't listened to Toy in years. And then the next one is The Best Thank You, and it's also coming from 2018. Like I had a couple of options. Uh, One of them, for example, was Albina in 2021 or Aiko in 2024, or even oh my gosh, what was Malta in 2024 also that placed last in the semifinal, which was a shock. I mean, I know it wasn't the most original thing. It was kind of copying Chanel, but it was also like adding its own thing, and it was still a really great performance. But yeah, I think I'll stick with Switzerland in 2018. Stones, that was an amazing song. It was in one of the best semifinals ever. It was also one of the biggest ones because we had like 19 countries. It was almost half of the countries getting eliminated. But again, I think I could have kicked someone out. Oh my gosh, I do not have like the 10 qualifiers here from that semifinal. Wait, let me look it up real quick. Okay. Who could have we kicked out? Well, no one really. Like maybe Albania, but no. Or Ireland. That was I mean, that semifinal, besides Iceland and maybe Armenia, every single other performance had like at least some argument to qualify. Like North Macedonia, for example, the staging and her vocals live were awful, but the song was really good. Croatia, the staging was absolutely nothing, but the song was really good still. Belarus, the song was my favorite, but the staging was really cool. At least I thought I liked it. I liked it. I thought it was cool. Then Greece, it was a shock, but the staging wasn't really good. But still, a lot of people like the song Switzerland. We've already talked about it. It should have qualified. It's one of the best, if not the best, non-qualifier for me in Eurovision history. Then we also have Belgium. Senek. It was also amazing. Her live performance wasn't that good. And Azerbaijan, which was the first thank you for Azerbaijan. I can think of a couple of entries from Azerbaijan from like before 2018 that could have been their first thank you. But no, it had to be ISIL. Why? That was a really good semifinal, but I think out of those nine, the best one by far was Switzerland. Then, an underrated song I've chosen from 2023, Slovenia Joker Out, because I typically don't like rock music, and I loved Joker Out and I loved Carpe Diem with my entire heart. That should have been top 10 at least, or even maybe top 5. I do not understand why it plays like what, 21st? 21st? I mean, I understand why Slovenia is threatening to withdraw every single year because, I mean, this last year it wasn't. But 2023 and 2024, kind of, because 2024 they fumbled the bag on the staging a bit. But 2023, everything was there, everything was perfect. Boyan has the most charisma behind Destiny of any Eurovision performer ever. He's amazing. He's a star. He's the moment. And they shouldn't have placed 21st. Again, at least a top 10 or maybe even a top 5. And then on the other hand, an overrated entry from that same year, for me, it was, I'm sorry, Ukraine. How's it pronounced? 40? 40? I don't know. Heart of Steel was an okay song. Like we all know that they placed that high because of the diaspora vote and maybe even some political pity voting still. But they didn't have a song to place in the top 10, almost top 5. They didn't have a staging to place in the top 10, almost top 5. In 5 years, nobody's gonna remember that performance, and we're gonna be here thinking, oh my gosh, what was Ukraine 2023? And we're gonna take some time until we figure out because it's not that memorable. And personally, I would have swapped them. Like Slovenia and Ukraine, Slovenia in sixth place and Ukraine in 21st. That would have been way more fair to me because, I mean, it's not that bad. And if it had to go through the semifinals, I could have made a case for them qualifying. I wouldn't be mad. But then, top 5, top 6, no. No way. And then we also have the worst song. Okay, this past couple of years we haven't really had like a lot of bad songs. We have Georgia 2021, we have Georgia 2022, we have what else? Oh, Iceland 2018 was bad. Uh, Slovenia 2017 was bad too. But there's one song in particular that irritates me that a lot of people seem to love. I do not like it. For me, it's the worst song that has ever gone to Eurovision, and it advanced to the final. It's 2013. It's Romania. It's my life. I do not know I do not know how to pronounce his name. I find it annoying. I do not like that performance. And when he tried to come back, it was like 2022, 2023, I think, when I saw him in that participant list for the national final. Oh lord, that was a fucking jump scare. Thankfully, he didn't even advance to the final, I think. But yeah, I do not like that. I hate it with a burning passion. And then, best staging. I mean, I could make a case for almost anything that Sergio Jaén has made so far, because I think like he's the new. I do not know how to say this, like superstar in staging for Eurovision. Like these past few years, we've had Focus, Evangelinos, such as Jean Baptiste, Marvin Dittman, and now it's Sergio's time. Because so far he's made. Which ones did he make this year? Was it like Austria, Cyprus, and another one? What was it? Oh my gosh, let me look it up. Oh yeah, Erika Fickman, of course. Like Cyprus, the downfall of that performance was Theo's vocal, not the staging. And then both Austria and Finland, the staging elevated the song so much, and everything he did at GMK, like well, the Goldilocks staging and the Nelly Matula staging, those two in particular were fucking amazing, mind blowing. I love them. And you notice there's one staging by Sergio I haven't mentioned because it's the best one by far. Doomsday Blue. Like, how in the hell did he turn a borderline qualifier into a potential winner? Well, it's not Sergio's effort, it's also Bambi's work. They're amazing. They're also amazing. And everything, like every single shot was really well thought out. The candle, kind of ring was amazing. The dancer, the camera work, everything was 10 out of 10. And that's like a masterclass on how to stage a Eurovision performance. And I also think that it's going to be a game changer. And I'm so sad that the experience didn't turn out as good as it could have for Bambi due to that country's drama. But yeah, that's going to be like a blueprint for the future. And I'm really excited because Sergio is going to he's like the artistic director for this year's Benidorm Fest, which makes me really excited. I think we're going to see an upgrade on the performances, and that with the 150K prize for the winner, which I think is going to attract like bigger artists, is making me really excited for this year's contest. So yeah, love Sergio, love Bambi, and Doomsday Blue has the best staging ever in the Eurovision stage. And now we're going to the other end, and we're going to talk about a song whose chances were ruined by a bad staging, and we're talking about Switzerland in 2017, Apollo by Time Bell. That song is like right now. Demi was my favorite from Eurovision 2017 when I first started becoming a Eurovision fan. Right now, Apollo is my favorite song from that year. That song is fucking amazing. It deserved a place in the final. The national final staging was, I mean, it wasn't the best, but it was alright. Like with that staging, with the dark lights, everything in red, she was dressed in a really pretty red dress, and the rose petals coming like down at the end, that would have given them a final spot, because that semi-final, like I think it wasn't really that strong. Like they could have easily won a spot in the final, but then they show up in Kiev and they do like that ancient Greece slash Easter staging with like the pink sky. She was up there in the platform with that yellow chicken dress. which is the most like it's awful. Like I hate that dress with a burning passion. Like that dress ruined the performance and the background and everything. Like it was just so kitsch and so outdated and so ugly. Like come on. It's like if you wanted to do things bad on purpose. You had the song, you had the performer. Why would you ruin it in the last moment? I just don't get it. Moving on to the next question, we have the most iconic outfit. And I could have said Bambi Thug, like the trans flag outfit, which I loved. And also Chanel wore a really iconic outfit, but I have to go with the classic one, ABBA. Everyone knows that outfit, everyone remembers that outfit. People dress as that for Carnival. I mean, you think ABBA, and one of the things you think about is that, like, I mean, the two men, like Benny and Björn, don't have like such an iconic outfit, but like those two outfits that the girls were wearing are two of the most iconic outfits, not just in Eurovision, but also in the entire pop culture. That is, they are just iconic. And so I've chosen those ones. And then we have four songs left. And well, four songs left, four questions left, sorry. Next one is the best national final song. My favorite national final song actually is from Sweden. Surprise, surprise. Um, from 2021. I think you know who it is already. I mentioned it earlier. It's Little Dot by Dotter. That song is pop perfection. That song is amazing. I wanted Rotterdam to become a reality. It didn't. It ended up 1 point behind the Mamas again, but this time it was like fourth, I think. And it had everything, even with her like the neck thing. Like I was gonna say she broke her neck. No, she didn't break her neck, but she hurt her neck, and she had like this foam thing in her neck, and it was still stylish. I love that performance with all my heart, and she deserved to win that Melody Festival. Here's the thing: Tusse was really famous back then, and then after Eurovision, he just disappeared. Nobody cares about him anymore in Sweden. I do not understand. Dotter should have gone to that Eurovision, and I love Tusse's song too. I love Voices, but Little Dot was just another level. And then the 18th question is an artist that I've become a huge fan after seeing them at Eurovision. And I have two options. The first one is May Muller. I mean, first of all, there's someone that I'm a huge fan, but that doesn't count here because I was a huge fan of him before Eurovision, which is Oli Alexander. Years and years, I love him. He was robbed. He had one of the best stagings that year, like behind Bambi and maybe and Nemo, behind Bambi and Nemo and maybe a couple more. But he had one of the best staging, and Europe paid him dust. I do not understand that zero, but anyways, the first one is May Muller. She's amazing. She's iconic. She's the moment. Go stream her. She's now she's free because back then when she did Eurovision and when she got like her most famous songs, she was under a major label and she was making music she didn't not not that she didn't like, but she said it didn't feel like her. And now she's finally making the music that she wants, and she's making amazing songs. Go listen to Breakaway or In My Head. Like those were the two first singles that she released from this new era, and they're just amazing. Yeah, I didn't know her before Eurovision, and that was the year after Sam Ryder when we were all going crazy thinking that a huge artist was going to go to Eurovision. Rina Sawayama was trolling us, and I was a huge Rina fan back then. I'm still a huge Rina fan today, but back then I had just discovered her music, and uh, she was like joking around and making us think that she was going to be the representative when in the end she wasn't. And she had me on a chokehold for weeks. And then there was also for a moment the rumor that Mimi Webb was going to go. That rumor is still around these days. I hope she goes to Eurovision. I would love to see her. And then it ended up being May. I didn't know her. She was still quite big in the UK. And I wrote a song. It's an amazing song. I do not care that the live performance was a bit off. Karia didn't sing either and he got second place. Why in the hell did May Muller get second to last place? No, not in my books. Um, but she's amazing. Her album Sorry I'm Late is amazing. I mean, it's quite basic. It's British pop, but I mean, it's British pop at its finest, and I love it. And the other one, which I've recently become obsessed with, is Loic Notet. He's the Belgian representative from 2015. I started listening to him when I was back in May when I was preparing for like my university access exams. And oh lord, did I become obsessed with him? I think he's gonna be like at least top three on my Spotify rap this year. He maybe will even beat Lil Mix and become my number one. But yeah, he has three albums. They're all amazing, but Siligomania, the second one, released in 2020, that is a fucking masterpiece. It's hit after hit after hit after hit. And Messi and Madame, he's all too well. Like if you're a Swiftie or if you know Taylor Swift, you know all too well. Messi and Madame he's all too well. And he's amazing. He's just such a creative force. And there were rumors this year that he was going to represent Belgium again at Eurovision. Part of me wants him to go, but a part of me doesn't want him to go because I don't know if I want him to pause his career for 9 months to go to Eurovision to maybe I don't know. He wouldn't get a bad placing. But what if Israel wins and he's in the middle of all of that? Actually, right now for Belgium, it would be a really clever choice because they have endured for these past 2 years with really great songs, but not so great staging. Well, no, this year they had a good staging. I do not understand. Like, well, I do. Nobody really liked it. Everyone thought it was good, but no one really liked it. So most people didn't vote for him. But yeah, with Loic, you could give him full creative control because back then in 2019, when he was just a 19-year-old guy who was just starting in music, he made the song himself. Of course, he sung it. He did the choreography for the performance and he did the staging, so he did everything himself. And it was amazing. So now, after like 10 years of having a really successful career and developing himself as an artist, who knows what he could do. So now in 2026, if he were to go to Eurovision, the Belgian broadcaster could give him full creative control. They could let him create the song, create the choreography, create the staging, and it would turn out fantastic, like no question. And yeah, basically, it would be a really safe bet. And if they don't qualify with Loic, if I were them, I would just withdraw entirely. But yeah, I don't think it's going to happen. Like we've had like in the past more times when there are rumors, then the broadcaster denies the rumors and then they end up being true anyways. So it could still be Loic, but I don't think it's going to. And yeah, he's amazing. Go stream his music. You're gonna have a great time listening to him. And then the final question. Oh my gosh, I've been recording for an hour already. Well, after editing, it won't be an hour. But anyways, and to end this podcast, my favorite Eurovision song ever is surprisingly to no one Move by the Mamas. It's amazing. I love that song. It's not just my favorite Eurovision song, it's one of my top three songs ever made. And yeah, it just makes me so joyful. I could have also included this song in the songs that made me happy category. I didn't to, avoid repeating myself, but I could have. They're just amazing. I just hope they come back one day and they get to be in the Eurovision stage. It's really difficult because Ashley lives in the US. So she would have to come back to Sweden and join the Mamas again. I don't know if they'll do it ever again, but I'll just stay hopeful until then. So that was the end of the tag, and also the end of the episode. I forgot. I was going to say it in the beginning. I did say that I have another podcast. It's called Dando la Tabarra. It's in Spanish, so if you speak Spanish, go there, please. And also, if you like this episode, I mean, my English is not the best yet, and also the sound quality might be awful. I know, but I'm just starting, And so, if you like this episode, if you found it entertaining, please, 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 leave a review, leave a comment. Also, I'm going to put a question in the comment section, uh, where I want you to tell me what is your favorite Eurovision song ever. And also, yeah, basically, if you like this podcast, leave a review, leave a comment. And also, you can go follow the podcast on social media on Instagram, Twitter, Blue Sky, and YouTube. So, yeah, thank you for listening.